The winds of change are sweeping through the Middle East, and the world is holding its breath as the United States stands on the brink of a historic decision. The critical question emerging is whether America will join the war against Iran. What we are witnessing now isn't just another diplomatic maneuver from a day ago. Initially, America declared they wouldn't participate in this war, but would stand with Israel to intercept missiles coming from Iran, making clear they wouldn't be combatants. However, everything changed dramatically within a single day because Trump found himself unable to make unilateral decisions anymore. A significant portion of Republicans who support Trump are now demanding America's direct involvement in this conflict. This represents a fundamental shift in position. Over the next 12 minutes, I'll unpack this seismic development and what it means for the region and the world. The pressure on Trump is immense, driven by his closest allies in the American business community, particularly those tied to the Republican Party. These include evangelical Christians, Catholics, who, it's worth noting, differ significantly from their European counterparts in their conservative fervor, and the Jewish community. The Heritage Foundation, a powerhouse conservative think tank that played a pivotal role in supporting Trump and Republicans during recent elections, exemplifies this influential bloc. These groups are not moderate. They are hardcore conservatives, and their voices are growing louder. Their demand for action isn't just political, it's deeply ideological, rooted in a belief that America must take a stand against Iran's regime, which they view as a threat to global stability and their values. Several key moments underscore this shift. J.D. Vance, a prominent Republican figure, publicly declared, "America must join with Israel against Iran," signaling a departure from earlier restraint. At the same time, French President Emmanuel Macron's call for de-escalation during a specially convened security summit was swiftly and publicly dismissed by the Trump administration, an extraordinary diplomatic snub that highlights how quickly positions have hardened. The American public's reaction further amplified this momentum. When it briefly seemed Trump might waver on full support for Israel, the outcry was deafening, revealing the depth of sentiment among his base and beyond. Even within Trump's cabinet, the transformation is stark. Tulsi Gabbard, a senior intelligence official and Hindu believer, stated Iran currently cannot develop nuclear weapons, only to be overruled by Trump himself, showing the overwhelming pressure within the administration. Perhaps the most striking influence comes from America's new ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, a Southern Baptist pastor turned politician and staunch Republican conservative. Huckabee sent Trump a personal message that framed current events in biblical terms, carrying profound weight. First, he attributed the survival of American officials during recent attacks to divine intervention. Second, he declared Trump's presidency itself as divinely ordained. Third, he invoked the legacy of Harry Truman, the Democratic president who recognized Israel in 1948 and authorized atomic bombs on Japan. Truman, though a Democrat, governed with a nationalist resolve that resonates with today's Republicans. By positioning Trump as Truman's heir, Huckabee is calling for decisive, world-altering action. Trump's response was swift and unmistakable. His tweets marked a complete strategic shift. The first demanded Iran's unconditional surrender. The second warned that attacks on any American Middle East bases would trigger overwhelming retaliation. The third chillingly stated, "We know where Khamenei is." These statements followed an emergency war room meeting after the G7 summit, accompanied by visible military movements, multiple U.S. fleets redeploying to the Arabian Sea, alongside fighter jets now stationed in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and Jordan. Aviation tracking data confirms this unprecedented American military mobilization, signaling that the U.S. is preparing for potential direct engagement. My analysis suggests Trump will likely give mediators like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Oman 3 to 4 days to secure Iran's complete surrender and verifiable abandonment of nuclear ambitions. Should these efforts fail, America appears poised to unleash its full military might, potentially deploying devastating weapons like the GBU-43B MOAB, the 21,000-pound conventional bunker buster known as the mother of all bombs. Previously used in Afghanistan, this weapon could permanently destroy Iran's underground nuclear facilities. General Keith Kellogg, a key Trump advisor, articulated this mindset on Fox News, questioning why America doesn't simply obliterate Iran, given its crippled air defenses and role as the region's primary instigator. Trump's own cryptic remark, whether to eliminate Khamenei will be our decision, reflects his consolidated support, not just from Republicans, but surprisingly from some senior Democrats, mirroring how Indian opposition leaders eventually backed the BJP's Article 370 move despite initial hesitation. The geopolitical landscape has shifted dramatically. No nation dares openly support Iran, not even South Africa, which attended recent meetings in silence. Within days, Iran may face an existential choice: unconditional surrender, including complete nuclear dismantlement, or catastrophic military defeat. The international community appears unified, leaving Iran isolated as the world watches what may become the final collapse of its anti-Western revolutionary regime. Every development now points toward Iran's inevitable strategic defeat unless immediate dramatic concessions are made. To understand the broader context, consider the domestic forces driving this shift. The evangelical Christian base, which views Israel's security as a biblical imperative, has long been a cornerstone of Republican support. Their influence, combined with the Jewish community's advocacy and the Catholic conservative bloc, creates a formidable coalition. The Heritage Foundation's role in shaping policy cannot be overstated. Its Project 2025 blueprint has guided much of Trump's agenda, emphasizing a muscular foreign policy. These groups see Iran's regime not just as a geopolitical threat, but as an ideological one, fueling their push for US intervention. On the international stage, the dismissal of Macron's de-escalation plea underscores America's resolve. The G7 summit's failure to temper US rhetoric, coupled with the redeployment of naval and air assets, signals a readiness for conflict. Iran's isolation is stark. Russia and China, its traditional allies, have remained conspicuously quiet, likely wary of America's military buildup. The mediators, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, face a daunting task, as Iran's regime has shown little willingness to capitulate, yet its military capabilities are severely degraded after Israel's precise strikes. The stakes could not be higher. A US intervention would reshape the Middle East, potentially ending Iran's theocratic regime and altering global power dynamics. The deployment of weapons like the MOAB would send a message not just to Iran, but to any nation challenging US or Israeli interests. Yet the risks are immense. Escalation could draw in other powers, destabilizing the region further. For now, the world watches as Trump navigates this delicate balance, backed by a coalition of fervent supporters and a military machine gearing up for action. This moment is a turning point. Iran's regime, once a regional powerhouse, stands on the edge of collapse, its fate hinging on the next few days. America's decision, whether to join Israel in a full-scale war or force Iran's surrender through diplomacy, will define the Middle East's future. The unity of the international community, the silence of Iran's allies, and the mobilization of US forces all point to one conclusion: Iran's revolutionary regime is running out of time. Stay tuned, as the coming days will reveal whether this conflict ends with a historic surrender or a devastating military showdown.